Nobody talks about what happens when your community stops growing you. And that's what I want to dive deep into today's video. You see, there was a time when I was still in training. And as you're going through the phrases as a British Sign Language interpreter, you have your levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6. Or I did an old system. And while you're learning the advice, especially if you don't have deaf families, colleagues, friends in your life, go and practice what you learn because that reinforces the learning. And then you are able to, get it locked in further faster, right? Fortunately for me, there was a local deaf club around where I am. I found a deaf club, and then ideal was weekly, once a week. I would go, fit it in perfectly with my schedule, school, and part-time work I was doing. I was able to work around that. And I went every single week intentionally. So whatever I learned in the beginning of the training, whatever I learned that week during training, I would go and make sure I practice. I make sure I use the phrases. I make sure I try and find a way to get the conversation in. When you're starting out in the beginning, you're learning things like, hello, hi, my name is this, that. So it's not like you're having a full-on conversation yet. So for me, it was a thing to okay, let me just go and practice the thing. So instead of just going up to someone, because these are people who are living their lives and they just come together and hang and just catch up and just build a community. For me to then go and say, okay, I learned the colors today. Let me practice my colors. No, I wanted to make it flow, make it not burdensome to them. Make it just be like we're having a conversation. And I'll be like, you know what? I saw this, I went to this place, I'll make up something. And I'm like, there was this red and yellow and purple and pink. And in that way, I'm practicing. So you see how I kind of intentionally would put in my thing. So as the weeks went on, as the levels grew further, with things where it was now more structured instead of the one sign or the two phrases or the one here and there, it was now phrases and sentences we're now learning, or different grammatical way of putting things, right? And this was during my shy era. Yes, I used to be I would go in waiting for, you go into the deaf club and you sit in a corner, or you might sit, I would go with a friend or two and we'll sit down in a corner and wait for a deaf person to come and say hi, and then we'll start chatting and I'll do that. So I was very, very, very shy in those early days of and that's when I now decided to make it intentional. And I decided, okay, I need to go at least and meet people and start challenging myself to, okay, because this is a safe space. People here kind of they know we're here, we're having a common language, we're into all that, right? So now I'm becoming more intentional, and we're now learning different things in different phases. So this particular week, we learned, what's it called in English? It's like a descriptive thing where you say something is on something, something's under, something's beside, something's behind. Let me know in the comment section. I can't remember what it's called. So that's what we're learning in sign language. And I was like, okay, this is what we go and practice when we go to the deaf club the next day. But the conversation that was happening wasn't allowing for that to just naturally go, then saying, oh, this is what I've learned, I want to practice this on you. I always found a way, how can I chip this in? So I would go talking to this gentleman, and as we were talking, I just slipped in a sentence. And the guy was so we were still carrying on bantering and everything. And he was looking so confused, And I'm like, oh, okay, you're fine. He's like, yeah, but hang on, what does a cat on the table got to do what we're talking about right now? And you got that. I signed. You got what I signed, right? I celebrated. I was like, yeah, not in a, in my you got it. You got it. Because I was still in my shy area. I was like, yeah, yes, the cat on the table. But yeah, but what does that got to do with what we're talking about right now? I can't even remember what we're talking about. But it had nothing. I just slipped it in, and he caught it, and I was like, yay. it got my thing because that's how intentional I was. I'm like, I have to practice what I've learned. I have to find a way. And I didn't want it to be like, oh yeah, I have a tick. Because sometimes the advice most trainers and teachers would be like, get your checklist and sign it and let people say what they if they got it or not. And I didn't want to do that. All I knew is I signed the thing and he got it. So to me, that was like, yeah, and I cheered, I was excited. That was a win for me. And that's how I rode in this place. And as time went on, and as I was moving up the levels, moving on into more constructive conversation, more into like up leveled way of doing things, it wasn't now I can just like really have a conversation. It wasn't kind of like, do I understand you? Not understand you. It's like, yeah, now I'm piecing things together. And now I feel like we're still in the same space, but it started feeling different. It started feeling as if it was not because now I'm fully understanding what they're saying. I'm fully getting in it. But now it's still the same weekly thing we're doing. But now I'm understanding them complaining about the government, about the situation, about each other, about this person and that thing. And this, it was just complaint after complaint after complaint. It was just normal conversation, but it was just the conversation was agreeing on something that we were complaining about. We complained about something, and it was just something, even if it was the weather, we're complaining about look at how much rain we're having so far. Look at how dull, it's already dark. Like, you name it, there was always something to complain about. And it started feeling not uplifting. And it just wasn't like I wasn't enjoying as much. I was leaving the weekly sessions drained every time. Like I've used so much energy because what I was trying, because most times when they complain, I'd be like, yeah, but, and this is what, like this, I was trying to just, okay, let's not really go into the complaint. Let's think about this way, like see it this way, this perspective. Maybe they're thinking that, like, they're trying to like change the way, the perspective of how they were seeing things. And by the end of the day, man, I was drained. I would just get home and I'm like out. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it became like such, it wasn't fun anymore. And to me, it was always about fun. It was always about like, when I couldn't fully understand, it was like oh, let me see. Oh, I got that. Oh, I understood that. I got it. And now I'm fully understanding what they're saying. And it was just not vibing anymore. It just wasn't making me feel, there wasn't joy. It was just kind of like, I thought, okay, let me instead of like let me volunteer, maybe that way I could help with the way things are, instead of like just always joining a complaining, right? I would like I started off with people that would set up the chairs and the table. At the end we'll pack it up, we'll put it in. So I started volunteering in this deaf club and doing my bits and stuff and trying to up level and make people all happy and yeah, and I did my bit, and then there was issue with the location and moving and all these different things. And then something started happening that I didn't want it to do. I started noticing that once I've left and I'm no longer in the group, I'm just doing my everyday life. I started noticing I started complaining about just anything. Like I would just start, oh my goodness, look how long this bus is taking to get here. What did this happen? Complain about why are you not? I was catching myself now really like complain, like because I've been so immersed in this field of like this and that and now I'm on my own and I'm complaining as well. I'm like, oh Nene, oh no, like I'm catching myself that I'm now complaining about things that I don't even complain about. And I said, notice it, oh my goodness, they transferred, even though I'm there thinking, oh, I'm changing the topic, oh, I'm changing perspective, how things are. But at the end of the day, it filtered in me. And with the changes and everything that was going on, trying to give back and trying, sorting, like, let's do this kind of like event and this and that. I just started finding, so when they now changed location and it became somewhat difficult, I started finding like an excuse to not turn up or not go, or when things come up, I'd rather go and do that than that. And my energy started wanting to shift. And like, if I would go, it was like, all right, let me go to this particular person that would just not be like, oh, this person, I felt like, like I just didn't want to. And still, it still didn't land. Still wasn't like I was still feeling carrying this guilt about the whole dynamics and situation that when things started like moving on, how I regularly want to go now became like, oh, nah. An excuse would come up, oh, yeah, not today. And I won't go and I won't. And all of a sudden it just fizzled out and everything just ended. And I stopped going. And then I actually lost the funding. So the club actually just naturally closed. Or before that happened, I met one of the regulars at this place. Now I'm working as an interpreter now here and everything. And then I saw him and I was like, oh, hi. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you forever in a deaf club. Now that you're qualified, then you don't want to come to the deaf club anymore. And it was like, oh my gosh, the guilt of that, like thinking like the perspective that he's having, not realizing that for me, I really wanted to, like, honestly, if I was vibing, I would have still be, if that thing was still running and I would still be there. I just feel like some spaces can be seasonal. They can serve you for a reason at a time or for a moment. And then leaving that situation can then seem or feel ungrateful because truly they helped nurture and improve. And I walked on because I was very intentional about how I wanted to progress in my practice, that they truly helped me get to the level that I was. So now leaving and not being part of it, and an element of me felt, oh my gosh, the guilt and the grief. And now someone actually noticed that that's the reason, not knowing that the main reason was something totally different. And so it means that when you are growing, staying somewhere that drains you out of loyalty or guilt, I mean, it has its own kind of self-rejection when you're still in that situation because, oh man, they've helped me so much. They've done so much for me that if I leave, oh man, I'm rejecting them or something. Because here's the thing, the space that built you wasn't meant to keep you there forever. You see, something that has really supported and really done so much to help you get to another level doesn't mean that the next level you'll need to get to, that space will still be it. You get to up level and you get to and that's okay. It is okay. And sometimes you can explain, sometimes people will understand and get it, but sometimes it doesn't. But you really need to be true to self and really need to be and understand why we do certain things. There's certain containers that you go to, they're just meant for that season, for that period. There's certain people even in your life that will be there forever, and some will just be there for a time. Some will be there with in and out, they'll come in and out, and some will just be the one time and that's it. They make the impact and that's it. And it is okay. We do not have to feel that we are loyal, and this is something that for the longest time, I felt so, I was so afraid to admit that this is why I left the group. This is why I left the club, not because I am now, okay, now I now understand I can do better and can sign, and now I'm better than them. It was never the case. It's just the season for me at that time, for the longest time, I could not tell the gentleman at the time that this is why I left. I laughed it off. And he was like, yeah, and I just could not just say this is the reason. Because I was just, I felt that he would not understand my explanation or whatever it is. I was so afraid to admit it at the time, to tell him this is what this is why I just could not be in that deaf community. It doesn't mean that all deaf communities are this. It's just the one that I went to and I was local to me. That was my experience. And I had outgrown it. It was draining me. It was just not giving me the impact. Is not the kind of environment that I wanted to be in. I like to see, okay, a different perspective in things, not just complaining that the government did this person did that community, because I am this and that. I just could not be in that space in the next level of my evolution. And I'm grateful for what they did to get me to the level that I was at the time, because I went in there not fully knowing how to phrase, how to sentence a thing in sign language or even understand deaf people. And through going there regularly and like intentionally, I was able, with the learning and the practice with them and the repetition, I was able to get to the level where now I'm having conversation and banter. I'm fully having a full-on banner and we're having a good, supposed to be a great time until it wasn't. And it is okay when you get to that point that this is no longer serving me. This environment, this person, this situation isn't. And I was afraid to admit it, but now I feel like I get to say it that, and give yourself, if you're ever in that situation, like permit yourself to I've outgrown this, I've grown this space, I've grown this person, I've grown this situation. I get to move on and find other things that brings me joy, not the things that be like, oh man, I have to no, what is that thing that will spark that oomph in you that will keep you going? Other people that will challenge you away, or than saying, oh man, oh, I'm fine with this. I want to move on. I want to get to that next level. Where are my community? Where are my people? Where are they? So that I can then be in the space that would be like, oh, come on now, man. What are you doing? Let's go. Find your space. And when you get to the point where, okay, I feel like I'm the one giving, I'm not getting anything back or whatever that is, it is okay to now go find or create whatever that next level is for you. And do not let guilt or let situation make you feel like, oh, I have to because they've done so much, they've helped me, they've done that. It is okay. It is all good. And also and I also just want to share that when you start noticing those things that are like, okay, I feel the guilt, I feel like an imposter, I feel this or whatever that is, I have a free interpreter identity guide that'll be in the description box that will tell you, okay, what is the pattern that's showing up? Because to me, you'll feel like, oh, I have to I'm a people pleaser. I have to just be okay, conform, let everybody be okay. And I was staying there for the longest time till it got to the point where I just couldn't. Wanting to know what patterns are showing up and how to what are they? Take the free guide that's in the description box to give you that clarity, and then okay, now you have the awareness, you get to do the work. That'll be in the description box below. I am Nene. We do this every single day. And remember that your voice matters and it is your time to use it. Bye for now.